A Better World with Mitch Rabin, Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on the Progressive Radio Network.
Hello and welcome back to A Better World. Oh, thank you, Mozart. With Mitchell J. Rabin, your host. I'm very glad you're joining us again today here on Progressive Radio Network. And it seems that as the weeks go on, we become all the more progressive because we need to. That's the way the world is going. And today we're going to be taking a look at this world and moi. From a very interesting and ancient point of view, which will bring a level of historicity as well as a cosmic perspective, purview, if you will, to understanding some of the dynamics that we are all experiencing today. It looks like we can track, by following the money trail, for instance, why certain things are happening politically on the face of our planet, why the nuclear issues are occurring as they are, why the food and the GMO issues are happening as they are. Well, there's really an antecedent to all of this. There's another dynamic, a spiritual dynamic, if you will, that is feeding and nourishing all of the events happening on our planet today. And we are really very honored and blessed to have with us today Howard Hamsa Beckman, who is a master Vedic astrologer with over 35 years of experience. And he's going to be helping us to illuminate some of these dynamics that are taking place on our planet today and understand it from a larger point of view so we don't get so attached, or you could say sucked into the subjective domain of our upset, our feelings, our anxiety, and the like. We'll be able to stand outside of the picture, outside the box, if you will, the sphere, and look in with a more elevated perspective based on what Howard is going to be sharing with us. So I'm really very pleased. I've had a chance to meet Howard and experience directly his astrological wisdom, and this is the word I would like to use. In fact, he is known as the astrologer's astrologer. People from literally all over the world have come for consultations with Howard because this mastery that he has over probably the most ancient of all astrological systems. And as you know, we've spoken about the Chinese and the Western and the sidereal and almost every single kind of astrological perspective there is here on this show and on the TV show over the course of the past, well, many years. Today, it's really a gift to have someone of his competence sitting with us to speak about what this is and the ramifications for us all as a humanity, and in a sense, the birthing process we're all going through currently with the world looking the way it does. It's not by mistake, my friends. There's something behind all of it, an energy, a birthing energy, if you will, that we'll be speaking about today. So, a little bit about Howard, and then we'll get into it. I want you to hear a little of his biography. He is well known for his, I love this phrase, uncanny abilities in predictive astrology. He counsels his many clients in the right actions to take for success in life, their career paths, relationships, and family affairs, and in striking a balance between the material and the spiritual necessities that we all face. He's earned the name, as I said before, the astrologer's astrologer, due to the fact that he has so many professional consulting astrologers that come to him for their own horoscopes readings and, sharing his insights with them. Now, interestingly, in addition to the work of Vedic astrology, and in fact as part and parcel of it, Howard has done a lot of work with gemology, and he is part of a founding member of the Planetary Gemologists Association based in Bangkok, and he speaks of what is called the Three Sisters, the spiritual science of the ancients, and that's going to be also part of this, because we want to understand even astrology, which in the West is always sort of abstracted, extrapolated from the body of understanding and wisdom in which it actually naturally occurs. It's sort of like taking vitamin C away from the rest of the bioflavonoids in an orange and missing the fact that they were put there all together naturally, organically, by nature. But of course human beings think they can go in and just synthesize and take away what the pharmaceutical companies think is just the most precious, but it never works. So Howard will be speaking with us about, you could say, the larger picture and the ground, the terrain in which Jyotish, that is Vedic astrology, has risen. So with that, Howard Beckman, I want to just welcome you to A Better World.
Thank you so much, Mitchell. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. It's so nice to meet you in person after our number of phone conversations.
Well, it's wonderful to be in New York again.
Yes, exactly.
My favorite city.
Oh, God, it's fabulous. It really is. If you're going to do city life, this is a good one, And I also want to thank Dr. Norman Suhu for being the matchmaker, the wonderful naturopath acupuncturist who I've become very good friends with, who had the good wisdom to bring us together.
He's a wonderful guy. He invites me up here a couple of times a year.
A year, right.
And has me working from sun up till sundown, and it's wonderful. Yeah. I've met a lot of wonderful people through him.
I'm sure you have. So, stepping back, Howard, based on the introduction I gave here, and taking a larger look, if you will, at the soil in which Vedic astrology has grown, along with its sisters, could you speak a little bit, and take a few minutes, if you would, to kind of expound a little bit on this sisterhood?
Well, as the name that we call it, Vedic astrology. Actually, Vedic astrology was a name that was coined in the 70s by some Americans that were studying astrology.
Oh, that's so interesting.
That were friends of ours.
Mm-hmm.
The actual name for it is Jyotish, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And Jyotish means light. Jyoti means light. So Jyotish means the science of light. So it's the study of light vibrations, electromagnetic vibrations bouncing all over the universe, what their effects are on human beings, what their effects are on the Earth planet, and how the energies of planets in their orbit around the sun affect us all. And that's on an individual basis or on a collective basis, meaning, how it can be used to understand what is going on in our world. Shall we say, what is going on in our lives?
Sure. What is it that Vedic astrology, or Jyotish, more accurately, is a lunar-based astrological system distinct from others?
It is. And it is accurate. The best way to help a person understand to the point that will mean something to them is that we use what's called the sidereal zodiac. That's what an astronomer uses. So if I cast a chart for a person, which I did for you,
and we'll get to that.
Everything that I put forward as far as where the planets were in their orbital positions at the time of your birth, where was the sun according to our eyes here on Earth at the time of your birth. If you knew an astronomer in any observatory on the planet and you said, could you use your computer program and just sort of print me out a little something where all the planets were in their orbits, he would give you the exact same scientific understanding, well, Mercury was at this many degrees in this sign, as were the other planets, as a Vedic astrologer does. Western astrology, most Western astrologers...
In short, there are mathematical relationships of distances.
Yeah.
And following course the orbit.
Yeah, but Western astrology is what they call a system based on the equinox. And so it was actually a mistake. Not many like to really go into that, but at the time they began it, at the spring equinox, about 1700 years ago, because the Earth and Sun line up at the equinoxes in the same position, the assumption was made that the Sun would come back to the exact same position that it was at that time. A year later. But at the time of the equinox. Whereas the equinox happens, but the Earth takes an extra quarter day. So it would be like us not adding a day to the end of February every 4 years for a leap year. Imagine what the correlation between our calendar and the seasons would be like after 2,000 years. There wouldn't be any.
It's like an inherent mañana.
Yeah. Yeah, so it would be, so therefore it is not astronomically correct. This is not taking away the usages of Western astrology, but it's mostly sun sign based, and for, I would say, 75% of people, the sun is not in the sign, was not in the sign they read in the newspaper. In actual fact, it was actually in a sign, one sign earlier.
Yeah, so it has its accuracy based on any number of other considerations, but mathematical exactitude isn't its greatest gift.
Yes, that's correct. And that is what allows a Vedic astrologer to be able to utilize the science for predictive purposes. I know very few Western astrologers that say they can predict from a birth chart.
Exactly. This is a very good point, that Vedic astrology is known for its predictive function.
Exactly.
Where largely, I would say, the Western perspective is more characterological and psychological.
Exactly.
That's a huge generalization. I'm going to have friend astrologers after me for that. But I think it does hold at least some weight.
Yeah, well, yeah, without question.
And it doesn't mean it doesn't have its value. It has an immense value. It's just make sure what category you're looking at.
Exactly, and especially when it comes to mundane astrology, because it doesn't matter what backdrop you put the planets on. This backdrop or a little moved over, the relationships between the planets will be the same.
Exactly, right? And their interactions with each other.
Exactly, that will be the same.
Okay, that's a beautiful distinction. I appreciate that. Great. I'd like to let people know, because our show deals a lot, Howard, with what's going on in the world. We look a lot at healing. We look a lot at spirituality and consciousness. We also look at what we humans are doing to the environment, to ourselves, both physically, emotionally, psychologically, from a point of view of stress. It's a better world. We're really looking at every single fractal aspect of human beings on the earth. So, to many, astrology may seem like it's out there. Not to people like you and me. Not to a lot of our audience. But I still want to make the point that astrology is virtually one of the oldest practices known to man. He and she always would gaze up to the sky, look at the stars, enjoy the heavens, and in characteristic form start to map it. That's what we do. We are map makers. And we start to put it together, and then if we have the value of mathematics, we can start to measure. This is what we do. And Jyotish of all is just probably the most ancient, and that doesn't make it the best, but the Indians have had it, and that makes it the best. No, I'm playing. It's stood the test, no pun intended, of time.